Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point. 888-589-8840. Number to call, 888-589-8840. I'm Brian Fisher. Program is Focal Point. And do not forget, in all the bloviation you're going to hear from the secular media, that the last thing that Cliven Bundy said about what's happened to the black family, it's all government. That's all government. So Bundy's point was that government welfare is crippling the black family. That was his point. That's all government. That's a quote from Cliven Bundy. That's what he was talking about. Do not let the media lie to you. Don't let them spin this thing. Yeah, maybe you and I might have said things differently, but he was not recommending slavery. He was not advocating a return to slavery. He was saying that the black family is being devastated by the government. That's exactly what Daniel Patrick Moynihan, a prominent Democratic senator, said for 40 years, up until the day that he died. He talked about that. So don't ever forget that. 888-589-8840, number to call, 888-589-8840. You want to talk about legalization of pot. A couple of quick stories, then we'll go to the phones. Here's a story or a study released by the National Institute on Drug Abuse found that marijuana use makes tobacco use more pleasurable and may increase the user's risk for becoming addicted to nicotine. So these guys are going the other direction, says, hey, look, pot might be a gateway drug to nicotine. Nicotine is addictive. It'll take 6-7 years off your life. It'll give you lung cancer. We want to keep kids from getting addicted to nicotine. Everybody agrees that's an admirable public health goal. And now what the National Institute on Drug Abuse is saying, look, marijuana could be a gateway drug to cigarettes. So if you don't want kids to get hooked on nicotine, then let's not get them on pot. And they say that the connection goes beyond personal, social, and environmental reasons to suggest a pharmacological link. Pharmacological link, what does that mean? It means your body can get addicted to it, which means, and it can rot your brain. The studies they've done, I won't go to through the details here, but they talk about the experiments that they've done testing this out. Now, they've discovered that adolescents, for instance, who use marijuana weekly were more likely than less frequent marijuana users or non-users to initiate tobacco use. So teenagers could start with marijuana, but they would graduate to nicotine. Go the other way. People typically think of cigarettes as a gateway drug to marijuana. It can, for some, be the other way around. And the research they've done, again, this is the National Institute on Drug Abuse. These observations, this is a quote from their report, suggest or demonstrate that the THC effect, that's the active ingredient, is persistent. Active ingredient marijuana. The THC effect is persistent. He and his colleagues suggest that this persistence indicates that THC causes lasting changes to the brain. So marijuana affects the brain. Now, it says it's lasting effects. I would say it damages the brain. It's monkeying with the brain. It's messing with the brain. It's changing the structure of the brain. It's rotting the brain, just like we people have suspected. And you got a story out of Colorado. Fourth graders have been selling pot on elementary school campuses. This is from Greeley, Colorado. School officials in northern Colorado asking parents to take care within their newly legal recreational marijuana or with their newly legal recreational marijuana after fourth graders were caught dealing the drug on an elementary school campus. Okay, so you've got a drug. Even the National Institutes for Drug Abuse says it's rotting people's brains, and you've got 10-year-olds selling this stuff to each other on the playground. In a couple of cases, their grandparents, the ones that put it in their hands. Anybody think legalizing marijuana is just a great idea? I mean, somebody ought to run this by Rand Paul and get a reaction from him. Camille Paglia, hardcore leftist feminist, she writes a long piece about eliminating the minimum age for drinking. She's got a whole lot about that, but she's got one paragraph on marijuana. So I'm not talking about what she's saying about alcohol, but she's saying this: as a libertarian, I support the decriminalization of marijuana, but there are many problems with pot. This is a hardcore liberal now and a libertarian. From my observation, pot may be great for jazz musicians and beat poets, but it saps energy and willpower and can produce physiological feminization in men. Now, I'm not even sure what she's talking about, but basically saying, hey, guys, you want to become effeminate? hey, smoke pot. It'll do the trick for you. All right, let's go to the phones, 888-589-8840. Let's start with Kyle, Northwest Arkansas. Kyle, welcome. What's on your mind?
Thanks for the call, Brian.
Yes, sir.
What I wanted to comment on, and I'm not tooting my own horn or anything, but right after I heard this on the Kevin McCullough show, I got on the website and started looking at information about the facility there in Marion, Oregon. Called the company, or the parent company, I guess you might say, is Covanta. And in looking around, I actually called up and talked to somebody there. There's 16 other, or a total of 16 states in the United States that have this Covanta. So this is a serious issue. I mean, if there's nothing that's ever gotten a Christian involved that says they can't do anything, yeah, you can get on a website, you can make a phone call, and, get involved, because this is evidently going on in a lot bigger way than we think. If somebody doesn't believe you or believe what I'm saying, all they got to do is go on to Google and put that in there, and they'll see all kinds of information.
Okay, that's a great word, Kyle, and thank you for that. And it's interesting to me, phone calls, what happened here, and Kyle's point is well taken, just a phone call can make a difference. What stopped this practice is exposure. They say that sunlight is the best disinfectant. As soon as it became a news story, as soon as it broke the surface, as soon as the community became aware of it, immediately, this is something that's been going on probably since 1987. They've been burning bodies of aborted babies for 27 years. It doesn't get stopped until it becomes a matter of public knowledge. And then the enormity of what they were doing was so huge, so inescapable, that instantly they didn't even have to convene a county commissioner meeting. They just stopped it right now. They knew they had to. The moral imperative was just overwhelming. All right, thanks for the call. Let's go to David, Logansport, Indiana. David, welcome. What's on your mind?
Yes, I'm calling about the Oregon burning of the biomed hazardous waste.
Yes, sir.
Now, first of all, I'm a diehard pro-lifer, and I don't believe in abortion. But once you designate a tissue as a biohazard medical waste, the only way to properly dispose of it is incineration. And somebody's got to do it. So I understand the pros. I understand the horror of the situation when you think about burning babies. But once it's been designated biohazardous medical waste, it has to be incinerated, and somebody has to do it.
Well, let me ask this question, David. I understand what you're saying. I appreciate you being pro-life and all that. And I guess here's the question. Cremation is becoming an increasingly popular practice, accepted practice. I don't find any Christian or moral objection to it. The body is like a tent, the scripture says. Time comes, you fold it up, put it away, because you got a new body waiting for you in the heavens. But there's some responsibility, we feel, to honor the deceased. So you can have a loved one cremated. You might have, a lot of cemeteries or funeral homes will have a place where you can deposit the remains with a name. So there's a place you can go to remember, pay your respects. You might even bury the remains in a cemetery in a smaller plot. Some people bring them home in some kind of an urn. They might spread them somewhere in some place that was important to the deceased, but there's some kind of honor that is shown to the deceased. Yeah, you incinerate the body, but you don't use it for electricity. You don't use it for heat. That's barbaric. You treat the remains in some way that shows honor to the deceased. And so I guess, David, to me it would be like, the government saying to you, you got a loved one who dies, your mom dies, your dad dies, and they would say, look, we're gonna take your loved one's body and we're gonna throw it in an incinerator because we need their bodies for electricity. I think you and I probably would have a problem with that. So what I'm suggesting, David, is there's got to be some public policy way that's better than this for dealing with the bodies of these aborted babies. And there are a lot of organizations that would love to provide burials for these babies. They're available to do it. Pro-life groups would love to do that. Name them. And a lot of these recovery ministries, surrendering the secret. One of the things you do is you seek God for the name of the baby that was aborted. You give it a name. You have a place where you inscribe the name of the baby that's a memorial to you, where you can go and you can see the name of the baby that was aborted. You know, so there are a way you can handle these things that represent some kind of respect for the decency of the baby whose life has been taken. All right, David, listen, I appreciate the call. Thank you for that. Quickly, let's go to Michael in Fayette, Alabama. Michael, welcome. What's on your mind?
Oh, I'm sorry that I'm your last caller before the break. I wish that I could talk to you after the 1 hour station, on the hour station break, whatever it's called. I'm sorry that I haven't contacted you all for probably a year and a half, but all music Christian nonprofit radio station, part of a nationwide network, K-Love, has taken away the signal of AFR. But I still pray for all of you, as well as for Moody Radio.
Okay, well, Michael, we got about 45 seconds. Do you have a point that you want to make before we get to the end of the hour?
It's my concern about what is it called? Oh, in Oregon.
Yeah,
incineration. However, as much as I'm against it, and share your horror about it, I don't know how we'll be able to convince unsaved girls considering and women considering abortions when too many of us Christians have made broad, sweeping generalizations about race and about low-income people and about handicap. I'm mildly handicapped, such as the statements that Bundy
Well,
made.
Michael, I'm going to have to interject here because we're running out of time. But, Michael, the generalizations that we make are that every life is of eternal importance. Whether it is disabled, doesn't matter what skin color it's got. We believe in protecting. The generalization that counts here is we believe generalizingly to protect the sanctity of every single human life at every stage of development. I will defend that generalization all day.